Hello, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation, and my guest today is Linda Terlikar-Legras. She is an award-winning personal trainer, health and wellness coach, and a keynote speaker with a passion for empowering others to lead healthier and happier lives. She's the founder of Linda Legras Coaching, Wellbeing, and Alta Fitness. So this is my brief introduction to you, Linda. The full bio will be at the end. But the question that I love asking all my guests from the get-go for some reason is, how would you introduce yourself? Who is Linda in her own words? And why? What is the why for doing what you do?
Okay, let's start with my why. Maybe that's a good place to
Yeah.
start. Because why I'm doing what I'm doing is that I had a beautiful husband who had cancer and we went through all his treatment, and he passed away. And my children were only 7 years old, and it was a really, really difficult time, but I learned a lot from it. And during that time, my son was diagnosed on the autism spectrum. So there was a lot going on. I really can't remember a lot of that time. There's bits and pieces that I remember, but it was the learnings afterwards that really created my why, because, and I know this sort of moves very quickly, but then I met my new husband, Legras, side of my name, and he introduced me to this world of fitness. One of the first things he did is he gave me a box of organic food and he gave me a Paul Chek's book, and I went, oh my God, what is this guy doing?
Yes.
My first gift. And it was like, and then he just opened up this world of exercise, and he showed me about nutrition, and he got us all exercising because he was a personal trainer. And then he taught me to think bigger than we were, because I think I've led a very conservative life. And he opened me up to things like kinesiology and meditation and all these. I thought a little bit woo-woo, to be honest. It was a little bit, oh, this is not really, I think on meditation, that's not for me. Yoga, no, I hadn't really got the idea of that either. And of course, what he did bring was love to us. And that love and that nurturing was something that we needed. And it was really there that I learned so much about living as a human being and dealing with the loss of my husband, which I had found my peace with that. I call it finding my peace. And that peace is really love. That's what it boils down to. And I think everything for us boils down to love. I think everything that we do at the end of the day. So that really was the start of my journey. And of course, we opened a business together.
Yeah.
And it was personal training. Never, I was doing personal training. He was the personal trainer, but I'd never even met him. He wasn't even the trainer that I went through. And then, I said to him, maybe we should open a business together. So that's where Alta Fitness was launched.
Right.
And it was from there that I really realized that we weren't there just to prescribe exercise. It was about a holistic approach to people's well-being. And the journey has just sort of flowed on from there, and it keeps flowing.
Yes. It's one that doesn't end really, right? When it comes to healing and well-being, it seems to be dynamic and constant. I absolutely agree. The title is "To Live Your Best Life, You Must Be Healthy First." So, what is your, let's say, description of health? What is to be a healthy person when it comes to feelings? Are we supposed to feel happy every day, every moment? I would love to hear from you, like some guidelines in a way, from your own experience. What is like to be healthy?
I don't think happiness is an everyday 24-hour thing. I think because our lives have got their ebbs and flows, and we learn from that. And for me, I often talk about contentment. How
Yes, I
content
love
are
that
we?
too.
And often that contentment is when everything is gelling together.
Mm.
And when we're healthy, both physically and mentally, and we're ticking, call them all the boxes, though there's thousands of boxes that we could be ticking, but whatever those boxes
Right.
are for us, is we get to that point where we're living the life that we want. And that helps us to feel that level of contentment. And of course, there's happiness
Yeah.
in there. It's the meeting of, friends. It's the love that you have in your family. It's your children. Maybe it's your clients. They bring you moments of happiness or joy during the day. But I think happiness and joy are two different things almost too,
Mm.
because happiness seems to be this overall arching thing. We're not happy, but the happiness and the contentment in our life. And then there's moments of joy
Right.
that those around us or the activities that we do bring to us. So when it comes to that word healthy and living a healthy life, I think it's different for everybody, to be honest. But
Mm. Yeah.
definitely but for me, it boils down to that contentment. And that's when
Yes.
everything is in its place physically and mentally.
Yes. Another initial question I have for you, Linda, is about success. How do you define success these days?
Oh gosh, I think I struggled a little bit with
Yeah.
success.
Yes.
And I don't know whether that's an upbringing thing to say, "Oh, I've had success." What does that mean to everybody? I
Yeah.
think it means something different to everybody. I think, as I'm aging, and I'm going to put it down to wisdom because I'm
Yes.
nearly 60, and I realized that what success would have meant to me as a young girl or young woman to what success means to me today are two very different things. And success for me now is one, being, well, I might use that word contentment again, but being happy with myself, being comfortable in my own
Mm.
skin. And
Yeah.
because that has taken a long time to do, because I didn't always feel comfortable in my skin. In fact, I was a very shy girl, blushed all the time. I was very
Yeah.
meek, and I had a father who was sometimes just difficult. He's a good man, but I think I would just always wanted to be the good girl. So
Right.
I think
Right.
finding success then was difficult, and I think success meant that I've got the job, I've got the marriage, I've got the house, I've got the car, and of course you get to where I am now, and it's like,
Yeah.
yes, those things are something that I'm pleased that I have, but they're not defining my success. So my success now, I guess, and I have children, 18-year-old twins, and part of that success is them growing up to be good human beings, which
Mm.
I
Yeah.
believe they are. I'm not just saying this because I'm their mum, but I really feel that the values that they've learned, and it's not just from me, it's the people that surround them, it's the schools that they go to, their friends, um, them having a successful life is important. And Valerie, I'm
Yes.
just going to tell you, because I was thinking of this yesterday. I was listening to by James Maskell, and it's about doing coaching with
Mm.
groups because they're really successful. And I was listening to this man. I'm thinking, oh wow, like, he's amazing. Look at the stuff that he's done, and I haven't done all those things. And could I have done them? Maybe I could have if I was thinking about it, when I was younger. But of course, I wasn't on that path. And then I thought to myself, no, that wasn't my journey. And he may be able to help hundreds or thousands of people, and maybe I'm only helping, I don't know, hundreds of people in the last few years. But that is my success, helping
Mm.
them to achieve their
Mm.
goals. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that because I think coming from a place of comparison, right, that caused a lot of problems. It feels like it's already a place of a disconnection when we are comparing. That doesn't really resonate with, never did actually. That's interesting. I never really resonated with that idea. But yeah, it's wonderful to feel inspired, isn't it, by others when they are doing like this amazing work and helping so many people. And if we are kind of in that line of business, we might be feel inspired by them, but that's coming from admiration and not really comparison.
It's admiration. If we have admiration or wish other people luck for what they're doing instead of going,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
I'm a bit jealous or I wanted to be that. It's that doesn't serve us. And the comparison thing, I often talk about that with my daughter, saying, never compare yourself to anyone else because you'll always come up empty. You'll never be
Mm,
satisfied. So the only person who you can satisfy is yourself. And you're right. When you're looking at others, I like because I look at many of my clients and I look at their success and I'm happy for them. That's
right.
I think I'm reading the Book of Joy from yes, do you know that?
That's by the Dalai Lama.
Yes,
And
Edmund Tutu.
yes. Yeah.
And and he says that too, because you look at everybody and just look at the human. Everybody is human. And when they achieve something, you look at their success and congratulate them and not think that, oh, yes, I'm jealous for
Yeah.
that, or why didn't I achieve that? The best thing to do is to look back and go, no, what am I doing? What am I achieving?
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. Going back to you. I absolutely agree. I had another question for you, gosh, about that. Yes. So you mentioned the idea of success being one of feeling comfortable and well within yourself, kind of embracing yourself as whole.
Mm.
I mean, using my words, paraphrasing you. Do you feel that for us women, it's a more of a challenge to get there to this way of life? And
I
why?
think
Why do
so.
you feel that is?
I think so. Now, maybe it's just my history, and maybe it's the culture here in Australia, maybe it's the culture that I
Yeah.
just grew up with. But I think it's been harder for women to express their success or define their success or to
Mm,
feel success because we've been a little, if I think about it that way, I've been a little pushed down in
yes.
society. And I think things are changing, but I still think we've got such a long way to go. I look at my daughter, I mentioned her many times probably because she's very much a part of my life,
Yeah.
because I think they are ready to stand up for themselves, but I still think they've got a long way to go. And if I think, and I look at many of the friends around my age, this was the path of the girls, the daughters, and I certainly was mine. And not that my parents didn't give me the love or attention that I needed, but it was still, this is the path you take, Linda. You go to school, you get a job, you buy your car, you buy your house, you have
Mm,
children, and life's finished. That's how I sort of felt. There was no what went on from there. Not how, and my mum
right.
was wonderful, but there's not how that, where do we grow from there? And maybe we didn't live as long and we didn't think about those things, but we do now, and we do have a voice, but
Mm,
financially we're still not as equal to men. Many, many women are not in a place as they age to be financially secure, which is awful. Um, so yeah, I think it's been very hard. It's still it has been a hard journey for women. And yes, some get it easier than others. We all know that. But what I do know is that women help women.
mm,
I often say
mm,
that we lift each other there up, and we're there for them. And I think that again is another growing movement.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, a beautiful one.
Mm.
So, going back to what you do, you have done so much work here. I went on your website and the presentation too. Of course, I read that, and I have so many things. I love the motto that you have to fitter, healthier, and happier. So that's one way too that we can kind of change our lives, but just not the body, but the mind too. And then from there, who knows, recognize that we also have a spirit. So it's not
Yes.
just the body and the mind. So my other initial question for you is about spirituality. How do you see the concept of spirituality being integrated into health and wellness?
I think it's an integral part of it. I It's interesting because I don't have a religion. My
Right.
dad was against that. I'm not really sure why. So I didn't grow up with that spiritual connection. In fact, it wasn't even talked about in our house. So
Right.
it's something that I found later in life. And I know my husband he's much more spiritual. So I'll call it the wider universe is my spiritual space.
Mm,
because I didn't grow up with it. I didn't learn about the Bible. I didn't learn about other religions, and I'm reading the Book of Joy because these are the sort of things I'm still searching for, to be honest, because I
Yes.
think it's an integral part of who we are. And I'd like to think that there's more beyond us. And actually, I'm pretty sure there is more beyond us. The fact that we can connect as human beings, and that we mourn the loss of our family and friends and others, maybe even people we don't know.
Yeah.
So that spiritual connection, it's there within us. And I think we feel it more with some people than others. And, it's impossible to feel it for the whole world. But I love, again, maybe because this book is on my mind, but how they talk about in the Book of Joy that, all humans are connected. We're all humans. I
Mm.
have a puppy dog. He's gorgeous. And he knows when he sees his kind, he knows his kind.
Yeah.
And when
Yes.
we see our kind, we know our kind. We know the difference. So, and I think that it has to be bound in being kind to ourselves, but kind to others. That's a crucial, crucial step, I think, in being in our
Mm.
spiritual world. Because without kindness, there's only the other side,
Yeah.
isn't there? Um, so whilst I don't have any particular thing that I'm connected to, people are very important to me. And humanity is very important, and Mother Earth.
Yeah.
So I have a son, like that's so now I'll talk a little bit about him. He goes to a Steiner school. Do you know the Rudolf Steiner school?
I don't.
And okay, well, it has a beautiful philosophy. It's just a different way of teaching. And Rudolf Steiner recognized that children learn differently. And so he created
Mm.
this school for the children who just, I don't know, think differently. And I know my son is one of them. And part of their teaching is about having Mother Earth. It's not just about the environment. It's about Mother Earth. It's celebrating spring and winter, and
Ah.
it's respect for others. And I think that as a community, and I always remember that the principal said to us when she met us, she goes, "Linda, we don't have a specific religion here, but you need to be spiritual.
Ah. Ah.
So you need," and I think that spiritual is accepting of all,
Mm.
kindness to ourselves, to each other, to the planet.
Yes. So let's talk about the 5 pillars for health, wellness, and well being. This is something that you have brought into life. So, kind of expressing what that is in your own ways. Of course, some of them we have heard about and all, but we all have something to share that's different, that's very unique. You're very unique to me, obviously, your presence and everything. So I can't wait to ask these questions. So talk to me one at a time. So we go one by one. So nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress management, and connections, which is my favorite, as I mentioned off record. So the first one, nutrition. Talk to me about the basics of that. I know one of the things that I heard from you is that it is about getting back to basics.
Mm.
How do we interpret that? What does it mean?
So nutrition, obviously, for me is the number one pillar. Without food, we can't live.
Right.
But food, how we nurture ourselves with food is how we will present in our health and our well-being. So
Yes.
food is going to affect our brain, it affects our gut, it gives us life. And I say getting back to basics because that food that was nurturing us has changed dramatically over the last, you say, 30 to
Yes.
50 years.
Yes.
And I understand where the idea came from that, we were going to have to feed the masses and how we're going to do it and how we're going to do it cheaply. But they missed the point of how do they do that healthily? Healthily? I don't know if that's a word. Healthier.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think we've just been misled, but the world again, it's turning. There's certainly people out there doing wonderful work around communicating how we need to get back to those basic foods. Our body is meant to be nurtured with whole foods. So those that
Right.
are closest to nature. And whether you're a meat eater or not, but we've got good proteins, and we can get that from plant-based, and we can get that from meat-based or animal-based. Then we've got obviously we need lots of vegetables and fruits, and good fiber, hydration
Mm,
is another one, good
yes.
drinking water, and it is those things. And we do need carbohydrates as well. But what we need is to go back to those basics. So I always say, if you think of a food and you think of corn, you've got the corn itself, the corn kernel, which is fresh, and you cook it. Then you can
Yeah.
make that into a corn chip, and then you make it into corn syrup. And every single time you take a step away from that natural process, it becomes a non-food. So we've got supermarkets full of
Mm,
non-foods. We've got a healthy food
mm,
section that's not really healthy. It's getting back to those basics. So like I say, it's cooking from scratch. But life has got fast, and we look to convenience as the solution, and we're being sold that through marketing. Now, I did work in food marketing. That was another career that I had. And so I've known how those foods are made and how we market
mm.
them and how they're designed to be, tasty. And then we want to eat more. But then in turn, that makes us unhealthy. And that's a whole big story. And we don't have enough time to talk about today,
God.
Valeria. But
Yeah.
it is, those foods are harming us. They're causing disease, and I say that in the highly processed foods. Your soft drinks and your chips and your lollies, and even some of our foods that we think are healthy are full of ingredients that are really unnecessary. Because when we go back to those basics, when we go back to being a child, my mum said we were the last
Mm,
of the unprocessed food generation, and she was right, because we made everything from scratch, and we've just moved too far away from that.
mm. We did. That is true. Especially, I don't know about Australia, but United States, everything's so processed, highly processed.
We're the same. We followed. America might have been the rise of it, and Australia just followed with you. And we have the same, what we call the SAD diet. So the standard
Ah,
American
yeah.
diet, standard Australian diet, and we're
Yeah.
still waiting for that pyramid of, or how to eat well, to be rectified from. It's very much driven by, I guess, from politics.
Yeah.
And like I said, Valerie, at the heart of it, the original reason for them doing this was sound,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, we now know it's not healthy. So get back to basics.
Uh,
Lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, bit of protein and animal protein, if that's your thing. You know.
right. One of the things that I do that I will ask you the question here, I have protein powders though.
Mm.
They are processed, aren't they? The ones that I buy, they're vegan. So it's organic, vegan. I try the cleanest as possible and I read all the ingredients and all that. Check, check, check. But do you recommend protein powders?
Yes, I do. I rarely take them myself, because
Yeah.
I just have a preference to making sure I try and get that protein through my vegetables or my
Yeah.
meat. Um, so, but I do, because unfortunately, particularly women, we don't have enough protein. And what we
Yes.
think may be enough protein, and even what's recommended here in Australia, is just enough protein. However, if we're exercising, because this is my other thing, if we're
Right.
exercising and
Right.
trying to build muscle, good quality muscle tone and mass, then we need more protein. And if we're going through menopause, that's another area for me that I'm very passionate about helping women through. We need more protein,
Ah,
because we're going through muscle loss as we lose estrogen and hormones are changing. So I do, but unlike you, Valeria, I research my protein. So we have some in the house. I actually encourage my daughter to have it. So
yeah.
she has one a drink most days, because I know she doesn't get enough in her daily intake, because she's a typical teen running around, not probably eating enough. You
Right.
can only control what she eats at home, and or offer the right foods at home, whether she eats it or not, that's up to her. But yeah, I think that's really
Yeah.
important. So yes, it definitely does play a role, and there's some very good protein powders out there. In fact, mine is a pea-based protein, I think, that I have at home.
Right. So protein powders, they are considered supplements too, right, Linda? Do you
Yes.
recommend any other supplements like a multivitamin, complex B, and vitamin D, and all those?
Well, look, I'm just going to say this very clear. I'm not a nutritionist, so this is just my learnings and what I understand
Yes,
about food, and
yes,
this is where I do deep dives into the last 10 years. So yes, I think supplements play a role too. So whether, again, it's probably best to go to your GP or your
yeah,
allied health professional and check if there's any area that you are insufficient in. But I
yeah,
do know for women, we look at vitamin D because we don't get enough sun. And I don't know, here in Australia, we're always plastering on our sunscreen protectant because the sun here is very strong. And of
uh,
course, that prevents the vitamin D from getting through. So I actually supplement vitamin D myself. There's B vitamins, often we need to, omega 3s, we're not getting enough omega 3.
yeah,
Magnesium is another one. So multivitamin do that. A good quality one may have all those things in there for them. Is it going to hurt us? I doubt it very much. Obviously, anything in moderation, I always say this,
right.
anything where you overconsume is not good for you. And the same would be for supplements as well. So determining what those supplements are for you. And that's what I did. I started with I go and have my regular blood tests. And so for me, the only ones that I'm particularly low in, for example, is vitamin D and my B vitamins. But I also know that
Right.
magnesium, I probably don't get enough in the food. I have colloidal minerals every day as part of my morning ritual, 2 big glasses of water with some apple cider vinegar and colloidal minerals. So I guess I think it was a really good question there, Valerie, because yes, I think that going back to where our food is coming from and what we're consuming,
Mm.
there just isn't enough to be optimal. Let's say optimal is the word.
Yes, and that's how I feel. Yeah, I feel better taking some supplements, not too many, but just some. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering that question too. So the next pillar is exercise. And I love what you said there. You say there is no pill that is better than exercise. That is so true, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm going to say it's not my quote. It's Peter Attia. I think I heard that quote
Oh,
from, and I just loved it because I thought that is so true. Exercise is not easy. It does take a bit of
right,
effort. It
right.
takes time for you to consider for it. It may take an investment. We can certainly do it for free, and it's not pain free. There
Mm,
is we can do some things, but still takes effort. So I can see how we've moved away from this because for one, in the our parents and our parents before them and our grandparents, great parents, they had a lot of movement in their life. And the problem with our life is that we're just so much more sedentary. And so we need to do exercise over and above our daily activity. Is
right.
walking enough? Walking's great, but it's certainly not enough. Because that's what I often get from people. Oh, I go walking every day, but they're not strong. So we need to be this. We talk about, I think, strength and conditioning principles. So they're about there's strength, there's mobility, there's stability, there's endurance, there's speed, and I think there's a couple of other things in that. And that's
Yeah,
one of the philosophies that we use in our studio because it's not just let's go do weightlifting, because we also need to be able to twist and turn, and we need to be able to get up and off the floor and out of our seats. So there's lots of different modalities. So I encourage different modalities. I did find my love for yoga. So, but weightlifting I love doing. And I
yeah,
also like getting outdoors and just doing the hiking, and we ski and we bike ride. We do lots of different things. Some of that's for free, some of it's not. You've got to find yourself a bike and a helmet. But yeah, but there is no better exercise. There is no pill for exercise. And exercise, the benefits of, I call this the number 2 pillar. Because if we didn't
yeah,
exercise, it's not like food, we don't eat, we die. With exercise, if we don't exercise, we're just going to have shorter life and a slower death. Maybe that's the words. I might not have said that exactly right. But it is the number 2 pillar because when I did this, I did a series called Unshakable Resilient Women series back in 2022, and I spoke to
yeah,
all these women from around the world, and they all come from different areas of expertise. but they all said exercise was like the number 2 or 3 pillar.
Yes.
So it builds strength, it pumps the blood around our body, it fuels I know it sounds funny, but it fuels the brain, it helps us digest. It's all those things when our body is in its ultimate form of good muscle tone, healthy body fats, and that goes for the body fat as well as the visceral fat, the fats around your organs. They're all the things, bone mass, muscle quality. These are things that we have on our bioimpedance scales, where we have a look at what's happening on the inside of the body. Exercise helps strengthen our bones. It's a crucial part. And not only that, the best thing about exercise, when we talk about the spiritual and the connection, is one, you can
Yeah.
be connected with others, but it lifts our dopamine and our endorphins,
Yes.
and it
Yeah.
helps us to feel better. And I can't even quite explain. I often say this to
True.
women when they come into our studio, and men, but women often we're talking about we get on the same length, and I just tell them I can't tell you exactly how I feel, but I'm strong. I'm
Mm.
physically strong. I can move around. I have little joint pain as I'm aging. All these sort of things make my life better.
In general. Yeah.
I never can describe that, but once they start training, and like you're fit and healthy, and you've got good muscle tone and train, it you just feel good, and you don't know that till you're there.
That's true.
Is it? And then there's something we have to maintain. And I would say that once you get to that point, it is a maintenance, because I don't have to go, lifting 100 kilos. In fact, I never have. I don't need to go and do that. I need to keep myself strong, and I need to keep myself strong enough. But I also need to have flexibility, because that's important. This is where for me, yoga comes in. It's
Yes.
one opportunity for me to do my stretching and everything else. But, um, and then it gets down to finding something that you enjoy. You have to find something you enjoy.
Mm.
And sometimes, weight training might not be your thing, but then if you join a group, it changes the dynamics for you. Or go with a friend, or,
Yes.
but in saying all that, doing something, anything is beneficial.
Yes. There's no really point to keep doing something that we're not happy with. We're just doing because we're afraid. I think it goes back to that idea of where are we coming from, love or fear? So a lot of people exercise out of fear or do certain things, even eating certain foods because they're afraid to die.
Mm.
So I always go by love, like what do I love to do? And even if I don't love really working, because you're right, exercise, it's painful. It's work, isn't it? Lifting those weights. I like them because I'm used to it. But when I put the music on, then it feels wonderful. I'm like, oh my God, I even forget about the weight. You're not supposed to forget about the weight that you're lifting, but there's something about flow. It just, it's amazing.
Well, I often join our group sessions. It's our business, but I join the group sessions because I enjoy training with others, because we laugh.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
lovely. There's little jokes come out. There's no ribbing at our gym. It's not like that. "Arr, go, go, go." But it's just that someone will just laugh about something, and it gets everybody
Yeah.
laughing. And I think you're so right about the music, because one thing is I love when Spotify comes out, because we have Spotify, and so a client will come in and go, "What
Yeah.
music do you want today?" And they'll choose their music, whether it's jazz or classical music or rock. That is so true. I often
Yeah.
forget about the music being a
They kind of go
motivator.
together hand in hand, right?
Yeah,
In a
yeah,
way, fitness and music. It really does. So the
yeah.
next pillar is sleep. So
Mm.
gosh, that's a big, 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 huge one, isn't it? Piece two. So talk to me about the importance of sleeping, not just sleep, but sleeping well. And how do we go about, the do's and don'ts when it comes to sleep?
Okay, so sleep is the third pillar, but it could also be the second pillar. I always say,
Right.
if there's often with these pillars I talk about, if one is out of whack, then possibly it's going to cause an effect
Mm.
on the other ones. And if one is improving, like exercise, sleep will probably improve as well. However, sleep is something that we're deprived of too, with our society these days. We have lights on all the time. Even when we close the curtains, we have a street light out in front of our house, so we try to black it out.
Right.
But we're just exposed to this light, and our circadian rhythm. I'm sure you've heard about this. Where we rise in the morning and to be work through the day, and then as it gets dark,
Yes.
so should our melatonin pop in, and it's a whole cycle. We've lost that cycle a bit, so then now we have to create it. So, and
Yeah.
sleep is one of the crucial elements, and it fits in with nutrition and exercise as well. Without good sleep, it affects us. Will it kill us? Not exactly, but it might create an earlier death if we're not getting good sleep, or it causes other problems. So, in saying that, they say 7 to 9 hours is optimal. Under that, now some people sleep less and some people sleep more, but under that, research shows that we're not getting sufficient sleep, so it's affecting our bodily functions, and oversleeping does
Wow.
the same. So somewhere in that 7 to 9 is where we'd like to get to. And you know, during the night, it's a washout. Now, I could go into the whole technical side of things, I won't, because I'm not the expert in sleeping either.
Mm.
I just like to know the whole what optimally do we need to look for, and then everybody can find their own space. So, sleep is another one of those things, but it does, it washes out our learnings for the day and retains what it needs to retain, and actually there's the grey matter washout through the process of sleep that's really
Wow.
important. But we know that when we don't sleep well, things like we don't function as well the next day. Perhaps we can't even think cognitively as well the next day. They're
Right.
saying if you get a bad night's sleep, it's like driving the car with alcohol in the system. There's so many dangers to not sleeping well, but it's just about our effectiveness too, and how we
Right.
feel. Because then when we know that when we have a good night's sleep, we're ready to get up and start the day. We're more cognitively switched on. Um, and then we're making the right choices during the day. We've got the energy to exercise. So there's many, many 1,000 benefits to good sleep, but it's crucial.
True.
It's absolutely crucial. So, I always say there's the nighttime routine and there's the morning routine that you can consider. And screens is one of the worst things that we can do. That blue light is affecting our sleep, and it takes up to, depending on who you talk to, what you read, but anything from an hour to 3 hours, it will affect. That light is still on in your brain, even when you've fallen asleep. It's
Yeah.
still active, and so it's affecting those stages of sleep. So if you can turn those screens off, minimum 1 hour to 2 hours before you go to bed is good. I keep my phone in the ensuite so it's not
Yeah.
somewhere I can see. Our room is completely darkened. So we've got the shutters and we've got curtains over the top. So keeping a dark room, because they say even the smallest amount of light coming in can affect your sleep. So if you've even got a
Interesting.
TV and it's got the little red dot on it, I don't have a TV in our room. Put a piece of tape over it so you can't see the red light coming in. The
Wow.
room being cooler to sleep in, so not having
Mm.
a hot room, and that particularly is crucial for us as women going through menopause, and for those of us who suffer flashes or night sweats, trying to keep our room as cool as possible. And then the morning routine. What time do you get up in the morning? Do you expose
Yeah.
yourself to first light? Do you have a moment where you collect yourself, or you're just rushing off? These are all the things that affect our total sleep routine. And I also say too, if you need a nana nap, so this is wonderful when you want to do a little meditation during the day, or
Yeah.
get yourself into a bit of a I've been doing some um, trance work with NLP, and I think that's beautiful. That during the day you can have a little
Yeah.
rest. I had once
Mm.
someone said to me, she goes, "Oh, I thought I couldn't have a nana nap. That you should never have that." And I said, "Oh no, if you need a nana nap, not a 2 hour one, but a short nap or a meditation to revitalize
Mm.
yourself during the day is perfectly okay."
Yeah, what's not to love about all of them? And it's a beautiful reminder too, Linda, for all of us, because we tend to forget, right? When we get too busy, we kind of forget these habits, especially sleep hygiene, as they call it.
Mm. Yes.
I love that you mentioned those three kinds of rest too, which I never heard this
Mm.
way: total rest, and then active rest, and then passive rest. So, got three
Yes. Yeah.
kinds.
It's simple, but so you've got, what did we say there? We've got active rest is when you're exercising or gardening, but you've taken yourself
Yeah.
away from, say, the pressures of the day or work. And I don't know about you, but exercise for me is one, it's a mental health thing, but it's also is an active rest, even though it's physical, because I turn everything off around the world. I just focus.
Yes.
I don't even intend to focus on exercise, but that's what exercise does. And gardening does the same thing, or it might be something else that's physical, even going for a walk, because you're taking a rest from perhaps the day or whatever activity that you've been really focused on. Then you've got
Right.
your more passive rest, which is reading, perhaps meditation. So not actually going to sleep, but sitting down, being
Yeah.
calm. It's just maybe it's a quiet space, maybe it's some
Yeah.
music, but it's that more passive type of rest. And then you have your total rest, which is your sleep.
Right.
So you can
Yeah.
think about that is where do you fit that into your day? So for one thing, I really, and I say this a lot, when I have lunch, I often just sit outside and eat my lunch. So being more mindful, I can see the trees, hear the birds,
Yeah.
traffic. But
I
it's
love
that
that. Yeah.
just calm. I'm calm, and I've got a spot where the sun will hit. So if the sun's out, it's nice and warm. That is a rest. I know I'm consuming
Yes.
food and I'm up, but it is a form of rest. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Almost like getting away from thinking, too much thinking, right? Repetitive thinking, the
Mm,
patterns. Yeah, it feels like resting. I love that suggestion. You see, when we talk about sleep, usually that's not mentioned. So
mm.
I'm so glad you brought that up because it just resonates true to me.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
And then stress management is the other pillar. That's the fourth pillar. And it sounds to me like it's connected with sleep, isn't it, in a way? Because
Oh,
sleeping, resting, they're just so great for stress management. But talk to me about that. You said stress part of our lives. How we deal with it is up to us. So that's a good guiding principle too.
and like stress, there's some things that we create on our own. Some of it is created to us,
Right.
and we've got this function of and you would have heard of this before, the fight or the flight sort of function
Yeah.
that we're
Oh yeah.
in. And we need stress in our lives. There's no doubt about that. Stress can be a motivator for change. It can
Yeah.
move us forward. It can help us react. You go to walk across the road and there's a car coming, and you whoop, scare yourself off and stand back.
Right. Right.
Or protecting someone else around you, like children grabbing their hands. There is this element of stress that we need in life, but we are overstressed. So this is another one when it
Mm.
comes to our health and well-being uh, pillars, is that unfortunately some of our lifestyles now, we're working long hours. Apparently, Australian women are one of the most
Yeah.
overworked women in the world. I sort of didn't believe that at first, but then when I think about it, I think, oh yeah, because there's this whole, need to fill in every moment of the day, and I think this is very much a Western thing as well. But and also a need for some people. We need to work. We've got families to look after, or pets, or
Yes.
careers, or whatever. So we're in this constant state that we don't take time to rest. So you're right, like they are very much connected. And so this is when we talk about cortisol. So we need cortisol, but what stress does, it'll spike our cortisol. But if
Yeah.
we get the fight or flight and then we calm down again, well, that we have that cup of tea and it brings it back down and we're into this safe space. However, with our lifestyles, we talk a lot about burnout. This is not my area of expertise, but I've got many friends who have gone through that, and they're constantly in this state of stress, and so their cortisol is constantly high, which in turn, can cause weight gain and
Oh
sleeplessness
yeah.
and other issues. And so we're just not bringing it back down again. So we have to find, and it is up to us. which is why I like those states of rest, because we can reduce that simply by sitting, even if it's a minute or two, or standing at the kitchen sink taking 5 deep breaths.
Right.
There's small ways we can do it. And then, of course, there's the longer ways by taking a 5-minute meditation or a 20-minute nap or going for a walk or exercising. There's so many ways we can exercise as a well documented and well researched that exercise does reduce stress, and it's long lasting, which is the important thing, is what sort of rest that we can do
Mm,
that will last for a period of time. So if we just do the 5 deep breaths and then we're off doing running around again, well, we can elevate quickly. So there's times that works and there's times it doesn't work. So where do we sort of put in? And sometimes if you just write down 5 different ways that you could
mm,
reduce your stress, just the fact of writing it down is one you can. Well, I just actually just did this myself yesterday. I wrote down 5 things that stress me out.
yes. Yes,
They're
that's a
always
good
the same
idea.
5 things, right? I get up in the
That's a
morning,
good idea.
the kids left the dishes on the sink last night, and the chairs and the cushions weren't put away the way I like.
Oh
And I think,
no.
I wake up and it stresses me out. So what do I need to do to change that? So I recognized 5 things because I was asked that. I was doing a Mind Valley. Do you know Mind Valley?
No, I
I
don't.
no. Mind Valley, I don't even know the person's name, so that's bad of me, but
Really?
they do have lots of people who have programs. So I joined this program called Blissful Day, Bliss Every
Yeah.
Day, something like that.
Yeah.
And because I'm continually learning myself. There's no perfection in here. We just continually chip away at the things that are bothering us at the time,
Yeah.
um, and then write down 5 ways you can reduce that stress. So
That's such a beautiful advice. I mean, very helpful to just write it down. What stressed you out and what to do about it, right? Because it's important to recognize the problem and then also find the solution. So yeah, you're giving so many suggestions here. Yes, for me, what is stress? I'm just not trying to think about. It goes back to connection for some reason. That's one of the pillars that really
Mhm.
connected with using the same word because it's very important for me in relationships that they are in harmony, that we are at peace with one another, and in general, in my family in general.
Mm.
So that's one of the things that cause me stress.
Mhm.
Interestingly enough,
Oh, family, absolutely. Families probably that, getting married, buying a house. Yeah.
that's a big one. So connection, that's the next one, connections. The quote that I wrote by Brene Brown, that you quoted
Mm.
her, it says, connection is why we're here. It is what gives purpose and meaning to our lives. That's
Mm.
so true. So
Yeah.
true. What's not to love about her and what's not to love about you quoting her? Because that's yeah, I love when we see truth, right? We
Mm.
immediately kind of resonates.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that piece. How do we learn to make better connections and how do we recognize when our connections are not healthy?
Well, it's interesting that I even came to connections. I wasn't sure. I called it relationships at first, and then I called it connections. I called it community. I think that all of those fit under that connection, and it's
Yeah.
often not talked about. But the 4 pillars of health and well-being, the top 4 are often talked about. But I remember this is my beautiful husband introducing me to the blue zones about 10 years ago. And I'd never
Yeah.
even heard about the blue zones. And there was the Okinawan women who, connect together. And what are these people doing? What is important to them?
Yeah.
It might be that they've got a religion that is their connection and gives them community and peace. Then it may be just a spiritual recognition. It may be just the group of people. And then I started really thinking there's something in the connection. Without connection, it's a whole piece
Mm,
that's,
yeah.
and we talk about loneliness, and again, that's could be another whole topic in itself. But there's more and more people that are lonely, particularly women, um, and it's it's sad and it's unhealthy. And I guess this is where I would go into the word of the health and well-being, and
Right.
wanting people to be fitter, healthier, and happier. Happier is the component here. When you have beautiful connections with people, your life is more full. You've got more purpose.
Yes.
Your reason why you're here can be more clarified. Can clarify to yourself the reason that you're here, because we are here for a reason.
Mm.
I don't know exactly what that reason is, but I know we're here for a reason.
Yeah.
But without other people around us, and it doesn't have to be love and having a partner, because maybe that's not for everybody. And it doesn't mean you have to have children, but they certainly bring you love and connection, but they also bring you
No, I'm
frustration.
sure.
And of
Yeah.
course, we've got to have our pets. How beautiful are they? And being connected with
Mm.
nature,
Mm.
our
Yeah.
connection with nature and being outside is something I don't know. We were talking just before, and a thing came to me about joy. When I'm out riding my bike or hiking in nature, I have moments of joy. I call them
Yeah, I
moments
can
of joy.
imagine.
And that's
Yes.
being connected with Mother Nature.
Mm.
So there's many different facets to it, but I just absolutely believe it's a crucial part of our health and well-being, whatever that is for you.
Yeah, it really, really is. Has been my own experience. I think because I tried everything before, trying to be healthy. Then I tried nutrition and then exercise, going to almost extremes in a way of everything, eating perfectly well, exercising every day, being fit and all that, and then sleeping well and all everything. Check, check, check. But then I didn't have that. The connection was not checked, and then I could not consider myself healthy. I would
Mm,
say 15 years ago, I wasn't, because that was missing. That pillar
mm.
was missing. I was not able to connect in a way that I wanted to connect, which is in a meaningful and deeper way.
And Valeria, I've read about you and I listened to your podcasts,
Yeah.
and I just think you, the way you bring that out in people, this comes out in, I think, many of your interviews, doesn't it? I think, well, maybe if not all, um,
Ah,
this
ah,
sense of connection and how important that is. And like you've found the person, this is where we all have a story, and it shows. You glow.
yes. Oh my
And
God.
that's,
Yeah. I
and when
love
you
this.
talk
Yeah.
about this is what makes you glow.
Mm.
It just goes to prove that, and I wish it for everybody. I wish,
Yes.
yeah. And if you don't have that connection, and it's very hard, right? If you're home and you're
Yeah.
lonely and you're not sure to even where to start, that local community group,
Yes.
I can't. How many times I do some things for our local community group, and I just love, because there's often people there coming from all walks of life. They
Mm.
all have a story, but they just want company. They want connection. You stop and talk to that woman in the street. My son and I were having lunch in the park just 2 days ago, and this man came up, and he came up from behind. And I was a little nervous when he did it at first. I'm
Yeah.
thinking,
Yeah.
but he just wanted to connect. And we then had this beautiful conversation. And I was so proud of my
Yeah.
son, because he turned around, because he still stood behind us. He didn't come around in the front. But my son turned around in his seat, and I turned around, and we had the eye contact, and we left all going, oh, well, I don't know if he did, but my son and I both
Yeah.
left going, oh,
Yeah.
that was such a nice experience. We weren't sure what was happening at first. It was a bit
Right.
uncomfortable. But so glad we did it. We could have
Right.
just turned around and just, oh, yeah, no worries, and just kept eating our lunch. But that would not,
Right.
yeah.
Right. It makes a huge difference. You see, it's the recognition of that, like you said, recognition of spirituality, which is the same to me. Connection, making this deeper connection with others. That means that you're making those deep connections within yourself, which is a
Mm.
spiritual thing, just as a concept. So, what's not to love about that? I have to say again, and I love that you also mentioned you added the 5 love language there.
Mm.
So, words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, receiving gifts. So basically, oh yeah, I would love for you to explain that to people because I have my ideas here.
This is Dr. Gary Chapman. So again, it's not mine, but it's something that I've adopted because it really
Yeah.
resonated with me. Because when I read the book, and a girlfriend gave it to me, just as I met my new husband, and she said, "I think you'd like this book, Linda." And
Yes.
Dr. Gary Chapman, he is please forgive me for saying this, but he's a religious man, so I can't remember what religion he is from, but
Right.
he counseled couples, and he found that there was these 5 areas, and we all experience that connection or that relationship differently. So my husband, for this example, is the gift giver. He loves
Mm.
gifts. So you can do the little questionnaire and you'll work out which one you are, or sometimes you might be on the border of 2. But I don't need gifts. And so he kept giving me all these gifts, and I'm going, I don't really need the gifts. What I
Yes.
am is the one, where quality time, just spending time together is enough for me.
Right.
But then by doing this, I realized that I can give him gifts, and he knows that I love him because I give him a gift.
Right.
And he knows
Ah.
that I need quality time. So maybe it's a dinner out, going to the movies, or just, being with me. So it's determining which ones those you are. And,
Mm.
and I know, there's the different ones. So it'll be this, the acts of service. So, someone knows that you love them because you picked up and done the dishes without having to be asked, because that
Right.
matters to them. Or, going to pick up the dry cleaning, or just doing something for them, and they go, oh, they do love me because they do know that that's important to me.
Yes.
Words of affirmation, that's my daughter, I say. She likes
Oh,
to,
really? Yeah.
yeah. For her, I need to say I love her,
Yeah.
or "You've done a good job," or "I'm proud of her," and that will light her up. And my son is quality time. So it's not
Mm.
only you and your
Yeah.
partner. And he's written many books now. I think there's the 5 languages of love for children, even workplace.
Ah.
He's expanded that. And I heard of one the other day, which I hadn't heard of, and I thought, oh, I need to buy that book. I love books.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, and it does help you to express, because our lives are busy, and we often forget to remind each other that they're important to us. And
Mm.
just by doing those little things that resonates with your loved one or your friend, because you can almost, once you read the book, you can almost go, well, that friend is the gift giver, and that one needs quality time, and
Yeah.
that one, if I just, say to her, I'll pick up your shopping for you today, it's
Yeah.
just, you can do it for anybody or everybody.
Yes.
It's a lovely, lovely way to learn how to connect better with others.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, you said what I was about to say. Yeah, it's exactly that. Yes, because everybody's different, right, Linda? So that's I love that you added that to that presentation. So we're almost at the end. I want to
Yeah.
mention your services. Gosh, you have done so much, and you are doing so much. Health and wellness coaching, so coaching one-on-one in master classes. You also offer grocery shop tours, workplace coaching. You offer a free discovery call for anyone who is interested. And then you also offer, oh, today you're placing this offer here, which will be on the podcast notes. So you go to Legra with an s.com/shop. And then you add the discount code Fit for Joy, and you can order any of these products, right, Linda? You have 3 of them: the 10-day healthy food challenge, Unshakable Resilient Women series, unlimited access, and then Vision Board workshop, Manifest the Life You Want. Did I miss anything? I know you have done more things here, actually.
Oh, I think, again, it's just an evolving thing. So as I see things that work well,
Yeah,
that's where these vision board. I love
yeah,
vision
other
boards.
vision boards. Yeah.
They can actually manifest change. I did one earlier this year, and it was amazing. And I'm still hearing from
Mm,
some of the women and men who did it, and those visions are coming to life. Um, but yes, I mean, personal training. We have a bricks and mortar place, so I don't do that other than Melbourne, in Melbourne, in Australia. And
yeah.
but these I would, if anyone was interested in doing any of those programs, that Fit for Joy will give it to you for free. I'll just put it on for a year. It's,
Yeah.
I can just leave it out. Yeah. if anyone's listening to this later on, that I'll keep it on for some time.
Thank you.
And yes, and if anyone wanted a free discovery call, there's no obligations. Just sometimes what I notice, and I do many, and I would need to be a good fit for them as they need to be a good fit for me. But sometimes just that half an hour chat changes their lives.
Yes.
And because what the coaching is all about is you. What do you want? What works for you?
Right.
It's not what I think or anything. It's just about having a vision, what you want in life, setting some goals, and each week breaking it down. That's what coaching is about. And you can also do that with your own life without a coach. But a coach helps keep you motivated.
Yes. Yeah. That's such a great invitation. Thank you so much for being generous too. I love that. So a year, I'll place that there so we don't forget. That's 1 year, that offer. And you also have the other things, Evolution Partner, those 6 modules, Health and Wellbeing series, and then the Alta Fitness. I wanted to mention that too. Everything it can be found on your website, Linda-Legras with an s.com.au. So I think, and you are everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So I have all of that here too. Thank you so much again for your presence, Linda, for everything that you're doing in a sense of giving yourself to help others to be well. That's something that is, it's beyond word for me. I have a sense of devotion for that for some reason, us helping one another however we can. So thank you for choosing that path. That seems to me very much there was a choiceless path. Was not really one that we think that we are choosing things, but a lot of times life is choosing us to do these things. So thank you for saying yes to it. And before we say goodbye for today, is there anything that you left unsaid? Anything that you'd like to end this conversation with?
The only thing I want to say, Valeria, is thank you for creating a platform like this. This is very unique, I feel. There's lots of love and giving in this from you and from the people who talk. Yes. And I just think it's beautiful. And as I always say, my wish for all is to be fitter, healthier, and happier. And you are doing just that. And please don't stop. This is something the world needs.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the recognition of that. We are doing this together, aren't we? Yeah. It's like none of this would exist without the collaboration, right? All of us doing. So I just love that too, that we just come together, to share love. So thank you again for saying yes to everything that you're doing in this conversation, and we'll be in touch again. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now, Linda. Bye.
Bye.